While planning our retirement together, I found my husband secretly sending money to a woman half his age. When I asked him about it, he sighed and said, "You're the investment. She's the reward." I cashed out every account in my name, and left him with retirement plans that included only a one-bedroom apartment and a bus pass. I'm Darlene, 62 years old, from Roanoke, Virginia. I spent nearly 4 decades building a life with Greg, my husband. We married young. I was 24, working as a pharmacy cashier. He was 27, working for the city utilities. He made me laugh back then. We had nothing but dreams and time. We raised 2 kids together. Both are grown and living in different states now. Our house isn't big, but it was ours. Paid off after 25 years of sacrifices. No vacations. No fancy cars. Just careful planning. We stuck to the plan: save, work, retire. We used to talk about Florida. Not Miami, too loud. Somewhere smaller. Sarasota maybe. Somewhere warm, where we could play cards and go for walks without coats. We made a little spreadsheet with monthly budgets and dreams. He said, "We'll do it together, babe. You and me." I believed him. About 2 years ago, I started noticing changes. Not big ones at first. Just quiet ones. Greg started taking walks alone. At first, I thought, good for him. Getting some exercise. But he never invited me. And when I asked to come, he said, "It's just to clear my head." He got secretive with his phone too. Never left it lying around. Used to set it on the table without thinking. Now, it was always in his pocket. He changed his password. I asked why. He said something about work emails, even though he'd retired 6 months earlier. There were little signs. He started wearing cologne again, the kind he used when we were dating. He started dressing better, even when just going to the hardware store. I tried to talk myself out of worrying. Told myself maybe he was just bored. Maybe he was figuring himself out post-retirement. Then one night, I walked into the living room and caught him smiling at his phone. I asked what was funny. He jumped like a teenager getting caught. Said it was just a joke from Dave, his old coworker. But his face was red. I knew something was off. But I needed proof. One afternoon, he went out to run errands and left his phone charging in the kitchen. That never happened. I knew I had minutes, maybe less. My hands were shaking when I picked it up. He'd forgotten to close the chat window. Her name was Lacey. I saw her messages. Things like, "Miss you already, baby. You're the sweetest man I've ever met. Can you help with rent this month? I'm short. And Greg?" He replied like a man in love, "Of course, Angel. I'll send it tonight. I wish you were here instead of her. Just a little longer, and we can be together full time." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. My hands went cold. I wanted to scream, but all I could do was sit down and stare. There were payment receipts, Zelle, PayPal, Cash App. Thousands of dollars. Gone. Sent to her. Sent from our joint savings. The one we built for 30 years. That night, I couldn't look at him. He came home, kissed my cheek, and asked what was for dinner. Like nothing was wrong. Like he wasn't destroying everything. I didn't say anything yet. I needed to know how deep it went. So I checked every account I could get into. Credit cards. Bank statements. Retirement funds. That's when I saw the full damage. He'd taken $18,000 from our joint savings in under a year. Small enough amounts to not trigger red flags. Smart enough to space them out. He thought I'd never notice. The next morning, I made him coffee and sat across from him at the table. I waited until he was halfway through his cup before I asked, real quiet, "Who's Lacey?" He looked up, startled. But he didn't try to lie. He didn't even look sorry. He sighed. Not a heavy, sad sigh. A bored one. Like I was just another chore. Then he looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You're the investment. She's the reward." I don't remember what I said next. Maybe nothing. Maybe I just stared. I do remember feeling my face go hot. I felt like a ghost in my own kitchen. After 38 years. After 2 kids, 1 miscarriage, 3 job layoffs, and a cancer scare, I was just an investment to him. Something he paid into, and now he wanted his return. So I waited until he left the house. And then I got to work. I didn't waste time. First, I called our bank. The joint savings account was still in both our names, but I had my own personal checking and a smaller savings account in just mine. Greg always thought it was emergency money. He didn't know I'd been quietly adding to it for years. Birthday money, holiday bonuses, a little cash here and there from side work. It had grown more than he realized. Around $40,000. I took a day off from pretending. I told Greg I wasn't feeling well and needed to rest. He shrugged, barely looked up from his phone. Probably texting her. I used that day to meet with a financial advisor downtown. A woman named Sharon. Kind eyes, sharp mind. I told her everything. She didn't blink when I said my husband of 38 years was funding his side chick's rent while planning our retirement. She just nodded and started helping me move my money. Everything that was legally mine, I pulled out. Next, I called the HR rep from my old job. I still had my pension coming in. I asked them to update the beneficiary details. Removed Greg. Added my sister. That weekend, I pretended things were fine. We went to dinner with friends, laughed at jokes, smiled for pictures. But inside, I was fire. The next week, I hired a private investigator. Cost a bit, but I wanted to be sure. I wanted pictures. Names. Proof. I gave him what I had. In less than 2 weeks, he gave me more than I wanted. Greg had driven out to Asheville more than once in the past year. Said he was visiting a fishing buddy. Lacey lived in a rundown apartment complex near a strip mall. She worked part-time at a salon, sometimes bartended. She also had a boyfriend. Younger guy, tattooed, drove a motorcycle. Turns out, Greg wasn't her only investor. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But the final twist? Lacey had a record. Nothing major, petty theft, fraud. Enough to know what she was doing. She'd pulled this kind of thing before. Used older men for money. Never stuck around. And here Greg thought she was his prize. I waited 1 more month. Let Greg talk more about Florida. Let him go on and on about the condo we could afford in Naples. He even ordered a travel guide. I nodded. Smiled. Said, "Sounds nice, babe." But behind his back, I was moving the rest of my personal assets into a trust. Just mine. I rented a storage unit across town. Slowly started moving my jewelry, heirlooms, and important documents out of the house. Things I didn't want him to touch when I left. Then I did something petty. Real petty. I opened a separate checking account under my maiden name and rerouted my Social Security payments. Quietly. Just in time. I even stopped by the DMV and changed my address to my sister's house. Quietly updated my driver's license. It felt surreal, like I was stepping out of someone else's skin. Then came the day. He was watching a baseball game, half asleep on the couch. I walked in with a folder. "Greg, I've got a few papers you need to look at." He didn't even mute the TV. "What's this?" "Legal stuff," I said. "About the house." "The accounts." He glanced at the first page. Then the second. I saw the confusion on his face. "What the hell is this?" "That's the division of assets," I said calmly. "What's left of them?" You spent your share. What? You spent $18,000 on your reward. Lacey. I've been moving what's mine. You'll find the utilities are now in your name, starting next month. The deed to the house? I sold it. Cash. It was still under my maiden name from before we married. Remember? You never made me change it. He looked pale. You can stay until the end of the month, I continued. Then you'll need to find somewhere else. He opened his mouth, but I cut him off. And before you call your lawyer. Go ahead. I kept all the receipts. Every transfer. Every photo. Every message. Every dime you took out. The investigator has copies too. And Lacey's boyfriend? He's real. They're laughing at you. Greg didn't say anything. He just stared at me. So I walked out the front door, keys in hand. And I didn't look back. I moved in with my sister temporarily. She lives just outside of Salem, about 20 minutes from Roanoke. Her guest room wasn't fancy, but it was quiet, and I could sleep at night for the first time in months. I told her what happened. She offered to help me destroy his car. I love her for that. A week after I left, Greg started calling. Then texting. Then emailing. At first, it was angry. You can't do this to me, Darlene. We built that life together. You don't just get to take it. Then it shifted to guilt. I made a mistake. She meant nothing. Don't throw away 38 years over one stupid decision. Then came the begging. Please come back. I'll fix this. I need you. But I didn't answer. I wasn't interested in watching him spiral. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. One day, my sister walked into the kitchen holding her iPad. Darlene, did you see this? She showed me a post on a Facebook group for local retirees. Someone had shared a link to a GoFundMe. Greg's name was on it. Help a retired vet start over after being betrayed. He'd written a whole sob story. Claimed I drained the accounts and ran off with her yoga instructor. Said I'd stolen the house and left him with nothing. That he was living in his car and eating canned soup. The page had a picture of him looking sad in a parking lot, probably staged, and the donation total? Over $2,500 already. I nearly dropped my coffee mug. This man was out here flipping the story like I was the cheater. I clicked through the comments. Dozens of them. So sorry, Greg. Stay strong. What kind of woman does this? Karma will get her. I felt my blood boil. I didn't want to go public. I didn't want to be part of a scandal. But I wasn't going to let him paint me like a villain. So I messaged the group admin. A woman named Martha, who I'd met once at a community fundraiser. I told her I had proof. That Greg's story was a lie. Martha asked for evidence. I sent her screenshots of the texts from Lacey, the payment transfers, even a snapshot of him writing, "You're the investment, she's the reward." She removed the post within hours. But the story didn't end there. Because Lacey found me. She sent me a message through Facebook. I almost didn't open it. It said, "Hi Darlene. I didn't know about you. I'm sorry." I stared at it for a full minute before responding. You knew. You just didn't care. She replied, "I thought you should know. He told me you died." I felt the wind knock out of me. He said you'd passed away from cancer 2 years ago. Said he was finally ready to live again. I didn't even have words. She kept messaging. I'm not with him anymore. He was getting obsessive. I blocked him last week. He sent me $900 and showed up at my work. I had to call my brother. Turns out, Lacey had dumped Greg the same week I walked out. So now he was alone. Really alone. He lied to her about me being dead. Lied to his friends about me stealing his money. And now, no one wanted him. But I wasn't done yet. Continue up to the ending. Ending must be very dramatic, vengeful endings who made mistakes, including OP if applicable, use simple words. I printed everything. The messages from Lacey. The photos. The bank records. Even the fake GoFundMe page. I put it all in a binder and mailed it to our kids. I didn't want to drag them into it, but I wasn't going to let their father poison them against me with lies. My daughter called me 2 days later. She was crying. Mom. I didn't believe him. But I didn't know it was this bad. My son? He was silent. Then he said one thing, he's dead to me. A week after that, I drove back to Roanoke. Not to our house, it was sold already. I went to the storage unit, picked up the last few boxes I hadn't moved yet. On my way out, I saw him. Greg was sitting on the curb across the street, like some kind of sad dog waiting for scraps. He looked older. Thinner. Worn out. His shirt was stained. His hair was greasy. He stood up when he saw me. Darlene, he said, like I might come running into his arms. I didn't. You win, he said. You destroyed everything. I walked up to him, slow and calm. No, Greg. You destroyed everything. I just cleaned up the mess. He opened his mouth like he wanted to argue. But he didn't have the strength. Then I said the last thing I ever said to him. You spent our life thinking I was a down payment. A placeholder. But I was your whole damn foundation. And you let it rot. I got in my car and drove away. Now, I live in a small beach town in North Carolina. The condo is mine. Paid for. I take walks in the morning and drink wine at night. Sometimes I hear about Greg through old neighbors. He's renting a 1-bedroom near the bus station. No car. No friends. Nobody trusts him. As for Lacey? She's vanished from the internet. Maybe she found her next investor. Maybe not. But I'm not bitter. I'm free. And Greg? He got exactly what he thought he deserved, a reward. Too bad it wasn't what he thought it would be. There isn't much left to tell, but there's one more piece I've been holding on to. A few months after I settled in North Carolina, I got a letter. Not an email. Not a message. A real letter, in a torn envelope with my name scrawled in shaky handwriting. It was from Greg. It was 4 pages long. Rambling, angry, pitiful. He blamed Lacey. Blamed the world. Blamed me. Said he was driven to it. Said he didn't know how to be old. That he thought he was running out of time to feel alive. That he thought he'd earned some happiness. Then, near the end, he wrote, "You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I just didn't see it until I lost it all. I wake up and I still expect to smell your coffee. I still reach for you in bed." I didn't write back. I didn't want to hear how sorry he was. Because he wasn't sorry when it counted. He was sorry when it was too late. A few weeks later, our daughter called. She said he'd been hospitalized. Nothing critical, some infection gone too long without treatment. He had no one listed as emergency contact, so the hospital reached out to her. She went once. She told me later he didn't even recognize her at first. Now he's in a low-income senior facility. Government run. 1 room, shared bathroom, 2 meals a day. Bus stop right outside. I thought I'd feel satisfied. Maybe even proud. But the truth? I feel peace. I didn't destroy Greg. He destroyed himself. I just refuse to be part of it anymore. Some people say revenge is about getting even. To me, it was about getting out. And staying out.